Welcome, welcome, strong yogis, to this third eye chakra yoga class with Kundalini. My name is Sonia. I'm a certified yoga teacher, and I will be guiding you throughout today's practice. Whether you just noticed these Kundalini videos or you've been following along since the root chakra, let's go ahead and activate our third eye space. We will begin in standing at the top of our mat for mountain pose Tadasana. Start to ground your feet into the mat, putting equal pressure into all four corners, and imagining roots growing from the bottom of your feet all the way to the core of the earth. Lengthen out of the spine, relax the shoulders up, back, and down, and feel strong in this pose. Maybe lifting your pelvic floor, bringing your belly button in towards your spine, creating a container in your torso for all that energy to circulate. Now begin to visualize a deep indigo light forming at the base of your spine. And on your next breath in, you'll imagine this light traveling up the spine to your third eye, passing each chakra along the way and activating it. So go ahead and take a deep breath in, letting the Kundalini rise. Hold at the top. Feel the energy in your third eye space. And release with a sigh. Perfect. We will now do 6 sun salutations, Surya Namaskar, with side plank, moving at your own pace, but I will guide you through the first round. So bend the knees, inhale as you lift your arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold, hands to mat. Knees can be bent. Inhale, lift the torso for flat back. Exhale slowly, placing hands on the mat, stepping back for plank. We're going to move into side plank, pressing firmly into the left hand, rolling onto the sides of our feet, lifting the right arm, opening the chest, and keeping the hips lifted. Bring both hands to mat, turn over for side plank on the other side. Squeeze your abs, reach out of the shoulders, open the chest. Feel free to modify with forearms on the mat or knees on the mat. We'll return to plank, begin to lower down for chaturanga, elbows near ribs, and then lift the chest for cobra or upward facing dog. Tuck the back toes, lift the hips, straighten the legs for downward facing dog, relaxing the shoulders and the chest, taking a deep breath in, deep breath out. On your next inhale, walk your feet up to hands and lift for flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift all the way up to standing, hands to heart in prayer. And we'll continue now at our own pace, adding in those side planks, connecting our breath with our movement, maybe closing the eyes to further engage that third eye space and feel your intuition, your body, how it wants to move. And once you're done, we will meet in standing. Anchor your attention on your breath or on the sensations in your body to truly bring you into the present moment and to create that connection between your mind, your body, and your breath, which allows for a more expansive awareness. And with this expansion, our consciousness grows, evolves, and we're able to see things more clearly so that we make the best decisions for our life. Feel free to add some spinal rolls on your transition from downward dog to allow for more fluid practice, to embody your slithery nature, which means the cycle of rebirth, shedding your skin and coming out a more evolved, fine-tuned version of yourself. You're doing amazing. Keep going with your sun salutations. Surya, the sun, a metaphor for life. The sun gives us life, and the sun is our awareness. Our awareness, our presence, that is where the magic is. That is where you can manifest instantly by being rooted in the now. Take an expansive inhale now. Your entire chest, belly, side body, and back filled with life force, prana. And breathe out through the nose. We'll be completing our sun salutations, slowly finding your way back to Tadasana, mountain pose, where you can reconnect with your body. Notice how it feels after that fire. We will then find crescent lunge, beginning to shift our weight onto our right foot. And when we're ready, stepping that left foot back, staying on the ball of our foot, reaching the heel to the mat, keeping those legs engaged and hips squared to the front of the mat. Lift your arms up to the sky, and then lower the back knee, untucking the foot. Sink deep into the hips, connecting your breath with the movement and finding your focus. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Keep your spine long and your belly engaged. We'll lower both hands to the mat now. Opening the chest, lifting the right arm to the sky for a twist. Now, squeezing your core, we're going to lift the torso, keeping our arms wide for a twisted low lunge. Beautiful. Focus on your breath to maintain your balance and focus, engaging the legs. Your front knee should be over the ankle. Bring your palms together for prayer near your heart center. And lower that elbow, the left one hooking it on the outside of your right knee. Deep breath in and release. Keeping the hips level, we're twisting from the central and upper portions of our spine. Now tuck the back toes and begin to lift the left knee off the mat for full expression of twisted side angle. Strong legs here. We're gonna squeeze our belly to lift that left leg and step it up to meet the right, or twisted chair pose. Keep the knees level by bringing the right knee forward a little bit. Return to neutral spine. Lifting the arms overhead for chair pose, sitting back in the hips. The knees are in line with your toes and your spine is straight. Tucking your tailbone down. Breathe in, straighten your legs up to standing. And breathe out, arms to heart center in prayer. Take a breath here before you shift your weight onto your left foot, preparing to step back for crescent lunge with the right leg, keeping the heel lifted, but driving it towards the mat to engage your legs and your psoas muscle. Lift arms to the sky, find your focus, your drishti. Bring your right hip forward slightly to square the hips. And if you would like to modify, you can shorten your stance and lift your hips a little bit higher to help with this pose. Otherwise, we'll lower that right knee to the mat, untuck the back toes for low lunge. We'll bring the palms together overhead and relax the shoulders down away from the ears. It's a good time to check in with your breath, noticing it, listening to it, feeling it. Lower both hands to the mat. We'll open the left arm up to the sky, twisting from our upper spine. Breathing here in the belly, keeping the hips level. Squeezing the core and keeping our arms wide, we're going to lift into this twisted low lunge. Palms come together in prayer near our heart center, hooking that right elbow on the outside of the left thigh. Feel free to simply rest the elbow on the thigh without hooking it for a lesser intensity. Tuck the back toes, lift the right knee off the mat, engaging both legs here, feeling the strength, feeling the fire, and prepare to step that right foot up to meet the left for a twisted chair pose. Pressing into the feet and the heels, keeping the knees level. Find a neutral spine, lifting both arms up overhead for chair pose, Utkatasana. Feel free to keep your hands in prayer and maybe widen your feet or have them together. Just play around with the posture. We'll straighten the legs, deep breath in, rising to standing. And take a deep breath in, we'll raise our arms to the sky. Breathe out, forward fold. Breathe in, lift for flat back. Breathing out, hands come to mat, step back into plank. Open to the right side of your mat for side plank. Hips are lifted, core is engaged, shoulders are stacked. Feel free to come onto your forearms as well. Return to neutral plank and we'll open up to the left side of our mat. You can have your feet stacked on top of one another or one foot in front of the other. Another slight modification is to drop that bottom knee and align your shin perpendicular to your body. We'll find plank, lower down for chaturanga. Inhale for upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. On your next inhale, lift your right heel up to the sky while keeping the hips level. Exhale, swing that foot forward and step it in between your hands. When you feel grounded, lift your chest and arms to the sky for crescent lunge. You're on the ball of your back foot, but your heel is still reaching towards the mat. Hips are squared, and we're locked in. We're going to move into Humble Warrior, Baddha Virabhadrasana. Palms can be together in prayer near the heart center, or you can place the tops of your hands on your low back. Option 3 is to clasp your fingers behind you. A strap can be helpful here. And begin to lower your torso inside of your leg, maybe resting the right shoulder on top of the right knee, allowing the chest to relax if it's safe, dropping the neck, allowing your arms to stretch overhead, really digging into those shoulders. Careful not to lock the elbows, letting there be a slight micro bend. Feel free to try a shorter stance here. Slowly lower the left knee to the mat and untuck the back toes. We'll lift our chest up, unclasp our fingers, and find prayer hands near our heart center. Once again, we'll hook the left elbow on the outside of our right knee for our twisted side angle, lifting the back knee now off the mat, and maybe trying a slight variation this time, opening your arms wide as you twist over that knee. Feel free to use blocks here. Palms come together once more for prayer hands, and we're going to step the left foot in to meet the right for chair twist. Option to open the arms wide, sitting back in the heels, keeping our knees level, and breathing here. Arms return to prayer. Now squeeze your right quadricep as you lift onto your left toes. Step that left leg behind and to the right, almost like a curtsy lunge, while keeping the hips squared to the top of the mat and gazing down at your right toes. And we find our formless prayer, Nirankara Namaskara, feeling that stretch in our hips, feeling formless. Untuck your elbow. We'll place hands on the mat, stepping the left foot back. Right foot steps back to meet the left, and we'll find side plank. Go ahead and switch. Maintaining breath, maintaining control. We'll find our plank lower down for chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Find a couple breaths here. Really sink into this downward dog. Lift the tailbone to the sky. Stretch as much as you can. The heels are drawing towards the mat. Then lift the left heel up to the sky and swing it forward in between your hands. Once you feel grounded, lift your arms up for crescent lunge. Slowly start to clasp your fingers behind you, opposite pinky on top this time. Really lengthening from the shoulders as your shoulder blades reach towards one another. Begin to lower our torso on the inside of our left leg, shoulder resting on knee. Releasing the neck, allowing the arms to stretch further behind you. Keeping a slight micro bend in the elbows. Begin to lower the right knee to the mat, untuck the toes and lift the chest up. Gently unclasp your fingers and bring your palms together for prayer. We'll twist over, hooking the right elbow on our left knee. Breathing into the belly. Tuck the back toes and lift the knee off of the mat. Maybe open your arms wide, using blocks for extra support. Hands return to prayer. Right foot steps up to meet the left for chair twist. Arms open wide. Hands return to prayer. Shift your weight onto the left foot as you step the right foot back behind you towards the left-hand side for formless prayer. Gazes down in front of you and feel this delicious stretch along the whole side of your leg, your IT band, giving it that much needed love and attention. This time we'll step our right foot back to meet our left, find a neutral spine, and raise our arms up as you sink your hips back for Utkatasana chair pose. Inhale, rise to standing, and feel free to stay in mountain pose or join me for a sun salutation. Inhale, arms up to sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, step back into plank, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Looking in between your fingertips, walk your feet up to your hands and lift for flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift all the way up to standing. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, step the left foot back for crescent lunge. We're going to shift into warrior 3, Virabhadrasana. Shifting forward onto that right leg. Going to bend our knees to propel ourselves upwards. That back leg is parallel to the mat, and so is your torso, with your arms reaching out in front of you. Engage your core. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Arms can also be in prayer. Feel free to bend that standing knee. Lower both hands to the mat, falling over the front leg. Hopefully you have your blocks nearby as we open up into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. So placing your fingertips slightly in front of and to the side of your right toes. We're going to open our left arm up to the sky. Hips are stacked on one another. Shoulders are stacked. You may also place your left hand on your hip, or bend your left knee and see if you can grab the top of your back foot, opening up the quadricep. Deep breath in and release. Gently let go of that left foot. Find your half moon. We'll lower the back foot to the mat with precision, finding warrior two, arms wide. Moving into crescent lunge by turning our hips forward and rolling onto the ball of our back foot. Let's switch sides. Step the left foot to meet the right, and then step the right foot back for crescent lunge. Shift your chest forward. Engage your left quadricep as you straighten that leg, lifting the back leg parallel to the mat. Your whole backside is a straight line like a plank. Find your center. Drop the right hip down to square the hips. Engage your core. It's okay to be a little shaky here. The joints are meant to articulate, especially the ankle, to allow for balance. Placing both hands on the mat, we'll find Ardha Chandrasana on the opposite side. So your left hand is on a block or on the mat slightly in front of and to the side of your left pinky toes. Your right hand is on your hip, opening it up to the right side of the room, stacking the hips, and then reaching the arm to the sky. Feel free to bend the right knee and grab onto the foot, further opening the psoas muscle, the quadricep, and a little bit of your obliques. Gently release the back leg. Right arm reaches for the sky, and then we'll lower the back leg to the mat for warrior two. Turn your torso and your hips towards the top of the mat as you roll over on the ball of your back foot, crescent lunge. Step the right foot to meet the left, chair pose. Lift out of the chest. Engage your core. Bring your palms together for prayer. See if you can come up onto your toes now. Slowly start to lower the hips as if in a squat. Be mindful of your knees. See if you can go all the way down till your sits bones reach the mat, and then extend your legs straight out in front of you for boat pose. Option to bend the knees and place your hands behind you, or arms straight out in front of you. Lift the chest. Avoid rounding the spine. And if you want to add a little intensity, you can move your feet apart from one another. Hold this pose, breathe through it, allow the shakes to happen. The shaking of your muscles is releasing tension naturally. It's a somatic release. Place your fingertips on the mat in front of your hips and slowly begin to lower your straight legs onto the mat, maybe falling forward over your legs. We'll start to come out of our forward fold, lifting the chest. Our next posture will be reverse tabletop. So place your hands behind you with fingertips pointed towards your heels. Feet flat on the floor with knees bent. We'll start to press into our hands and into our feet as you lift your hips up towards the sky. Engage your legs, engage your core, and breathe here. Your shoulders are reaching down away from the ears. Feel free to place your hands on some blocks for greater mobility, or straighten your legs for a little more intensity. And lower your hips down to the mat, We'll also begin to lower onto our back. Having a block nearby, place the block underneath your sacrum, that large bony process just above the tailbone. And when you find that point of sweetness, you can lift your legs up to the sky. This is waterfall, and it will be our intermittent resting pose. Placing your arms on the mat, palms facing down, we're going to slowly begin to lower our straight legs, engaging the core as low as we can go, preferably a straight line like a plank. Hold it in your position of discomfort. Allow the shaking to happen and lift back up to waterfall. We're going to do this 2 more times. Feel free to place your hands behind your head. Engage your core, and let's go ahead and lower our legs, finding our limit. This is attacking deep within the core, the transverse abdominal muscles. Allow it to shake. You're doing amazing. Keep holding. Deep breath in. Deep breath out, and lift your legs back up to waterfall. Relax your core. Find your breath. Release with a sigh. All right, last time. Slowly lower your straight legs. Find your center, find your strength. And lift your legs back up to waterfall. Allow your body to relax, maybe bringing knees into chest. Wow, you are so strong. Whatever you are able to do with this ab workout is enough. You are perfect and wonderful just as you are. Even if you were in Shavasana this entire practice up until now, that is totally fine, and I am here for it. Gonna go ahead and lower our feet to the mat and prepare for bridge pose. You can place a block underneath your sacrum for supported bridge, or we'll find our full expression. Keeping the knees parallel, as we breathe in, we're gonna lift our hips up. Our chest will naturally gravitate towards our chin. Maybe tuck the shoulders under and clasp your fingers. Reaching for the sky with your thighs. And hold. Breathing here. Unclasp your fingers and lower your hips to the mat, maybe swaying your knees side to side. Also a reminder here, feel free to add variations, do completely different poses. This is your class. And the third eye is all about finding your own internal guidance. You are your own best teacher. So listen to your body and do what feels right. We'll take bridge 1 more time, or if it's within your practice, move into wheel, Urdhva Dhanurasana. So we're placing our hands by our ears with fingers pointed towards the shoulders. We're going to press firmly into our hands and our feet to gently place the top of the head on the mat. Lift from the core and the hips as if there was a string pulling you upwards. Your shoulders drop away from your ears as you straighten your arms. Your thighs are parallel. Feel free to come onto your toes or bring your hands onto blocks prior for a little bit more mobility help. Hold this. Make sure you can still breathe comfortably in the pose. That's how you know you're safe within it. And go ahead and lower slightly by bending the elbows, placing the top of your head onto the mat, and slowly rolling vertebrae by vertebrae until your hips reach the mat, and bringing your knees into chest. Bring your feet flat on the mat. Drop your knees over to one side so you're in a fetal position. And we'll flip over onto our belly. Placing our hands on top of one another, resting our third eye over our hands, closing our eyes, feeling connected with our internal guidance system. Our next posture will be Salabhasana, locust pose. Bringing your hands behind you, palms facing down, we'll engage our core, our back, and begin to lift our chest up as we lift our legs off of the mat. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Feel free to bend your knees here, or maybe just lift one limb at a time. Hold, breathe, focus. And lower down onto the mat, resting your forehead on your hands. Go ahead into locust one more time, or try bow pose by bending the knees, reaching back with our hands for our feet, and lifting from the chest and the legs. The feet are pressing into the hands as much as the hands are lifting the legs up. And lower back down. Take a couple breaths here to release and relax. Slide your elbows back so they're under your shoulders, and we're going to lift up onto our forearms. Tuck the back toes, begin to slowly lift the thighs, and then the hips, finding a plank. Consciously lift the center portion of your upper back to engage the shoulders. We'll move into dolphin pose next, in a dynamic movement. So we'll lift our hips up to the sky as if in a downward facing dog or an inverted V shape, pressing into the forearms and reaching our chest towards the mat, and then coming back forward for the plank. Squeeze your core as you continue this movement, stretching into the shoulders and the chest. Lift your hips one final time. We'll hold dolphin pose now in a static form, breathing into those shoulders. I know a lot of fire is being created there. One more deep breath. And bend the knees, lower them to the mat. Find your blocks. We'll place them shoulder width apart. Keep the hips stacked above the knees, setting our elbows onto the blocks. Begin to lower into a puppy pose. So the chest, the neck, and the head hang heavy, reaching towards the floor. Your palms are together, or stretching out, placing your fingertips together for a little more space to open up the shoulders. And just bring your awareness towards your shoulders and your back, allowing that area to naturally melt. Breathe in. Breathe out with a sigh. Let's come out of this pose by lifting the chest up, placing one hand on the mat and then the other. We'll come into dolphin plank once more, lowering onto our forearms, making sure that they are shoulder width apart and parallel, tucking the back toes to lift the hips. Start walking your feet forward and back, trying to get your hips as high as you can, attempting to stack them over your shoulders. Feel free to use blocks to see how high you can get your hips. This is great preparation for inversions like headstand or scorpion, which are options for our final pose today. Then walk back out into plank. Lower your thighs and hips onto the mat for a short rest. Come into dolphin once more. Once we're here, we're going to walk our feet wide, come up onto our hands for downward facing dog. Begin to bend our knees and scoot our hips back as we walk our hands towards our feet, eventually finding Malasana squat. Turning the toes out, feet slightly wider than hips width. Engage your Mula Bandha, raise the pelvic floor, open the chest up. Use your elbows to spread the knees wide. Palms together, pressing into one another. This is great preparation for our peak pose of the class. Your choice, either crow, scorpion, headstand, or find a gentle child's pose where you can rest your forehead on the mat and connect with your third eye space. All options are equally beneficial. If you choose crow, from Malasana squat, we will place our hands on the mat, shoulder width apart. Begin to lift the hips, maintaining a slight bend in the knees, and bringing those knees in towards your armpits, resting your shins on your triceps. From here, you can start with slow toe taps off of the mat, shifting your gaze forward, maybe placing a pillow under your head for some ease of mind. Lifting one foot at a time, shift forward and find your crow, a balance between effort and ease. You have several minutes now to play around with whatever pose you wish. Another option is headstand, and feel free to try this against the wall. We're going to place our forearms on the mat just like in dolphin, then rest the top of our head on the mat, clasping our hands behind our head. Begin to lift the hips, walk the feet forward towards your head. Maybe you just start here, or you start lifting one leg up to the sky at a time, alternating feet. If you've practiced this pose enough and you feel confident, you can try bringing your knees into your chest, maybe lifting one knee at a time and finding your headstand, either straightening your legs up to the sky or adding your own variation. Stay strong in the shoulders. And to get out of this pose, you're going to lower your knees back towards your chest, stepping one foot back at a time, and then finding child's pose. If you've mastered crow and headstand, you might be ready to start scorpion. Please do not push your limits here. This is only for advanced practitioners. I'm going up against a wall and using blocks for support, as well as a strap around my upper arms to keep my forearms shoulder width apart. Lift the hips to stack them above the shoulders, maybe stepping on a block. And slowly take one leg and raise it to the sky, using your core to bring the other leg to meet it in pincha. Engage your shoulders, your core, and slightly tuck in your tailbone. From pincha, we're going to begin to lift up our chest, moving slightly forward as you arch your back, kind of like in an up dog. Then bend your knees, reaching your feet towards the top of your head. To come out of scorpion, we're going to unarch our back, Find pincha and begin to lower our legs towards the mat behind us, finding a child's pose. Lift your hips up into a kneeling position. We're going to reach our hands towards our heels, drop over our legs, bringing forehead to knees and tucking the chin. This is rabbit pose, and it's lengthening your whole backside. Let's keep our gaze on our hands. Sit the hips back slightly to bring the arms out in front of you. We'll find puppy pose, melting into the chest and the shoulders. Sending some positive wishes towards your shoulders and thanking them for being so strong today. Lift your chest slightly. We'll find thread the needle by sliding the left arm underneath the right and resting onto our left temple. Slight twist here and a juicy shoulder stretch. Left arm comes back in front of you, returning to neutral spine. We'll slide the right arm underneath the left, resting onto the outer shoulder and temple. Return to neutral spine. Sit your hips back, sitting on your heels. We'll find our final resting pose, and it's going to be child's pose, either knees together or wider than hips width. If you'd like classic Shavasana, feel free to find your corpse pose, maybe placing a crystal or something on your third eye space to help activate it. Otherwise, we're in our child's pose and our forehead is resting on the mat, our third eye space. Eyes closed, bring your gaze slightly upwards in between your eyebrows and visualize your internal eye, your mind's eye, opening. What does your eye look like? What color is it? And what does it have yet to tell you? What will you see? Feel free to join me for Hamsa breath work. So you will repeat the mantra Hum as you breathe in, filling your body with vital life force prana, and you will exhale with Sa, quickly releasing a little bit less air. So you're taking in more prana than you're releasing. Sounds like this. And surrender, allowing your Kundalini to awaken, your vital life force energy, your creativity, your connection with the universe, your natural state of joy and bliss. Allow the unfolding of all the layers, the ideas, the constructs, the labels. Release it all. Let the snake shed its skin. Let the caterpillar melt in its cocoon. Trust, have faith, and be patient. Who knows what you will become? Let's slowly start to wake up the body, rolling over our spine vertebrae by vertebrae until we reach a seated position. Placing a hand over our heart, reconnecting with the central channel of our nadi, our chakras. Everything is filtered through the heart, so whatever visions or guidance you receive from your third eye, you're channeling it through your heart to remain loving and understanding. Thank you for joining me for this class. I am so proud of you. Our next class will be the crown chakra, so be sure to stay tuned. Subscribe to this channel for future yoga and wellness content. Give this video a like. Say hi in the comments. I'd love to meet you. I am also available for private one-on-one lessons regarding yoga, Kundalini, Tantra, wellness, coaching. These private lessons will be done virtually. Unless you live in Vancouver, then hit me up. So feel free to check that out on my Patreon. The link is in the bio if you would like personal guidance and more attention in your practice. Thank you all, and I will see you next time.